All right, here comes the people. Hello, everybody. And oh, there they are. So do we see them? We do see them. There is everybody. All right. All right. All right. All right. Cool. Some faces we know, some faces we haven't met yet. So exciting. Um, Oh, there's Helen. Helen, I thought I recognized your face, but didn't recognize the name user. There's Helen. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. We're already up to 2 pages. Fantastico. Wow. Look at all the good faces and people. Fantastic. All right. Ooh, this is exciting. Um, Excellent. Well, it is 10 o'clock. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I am Tish Hicks. I'm the master sensei of the VO Dojo here in Burbank, California. And this is the Demo Listen Derby. I am joined with our really wonderful demo producers, Brittany Cox and Ryan Ricks from Next Level Voice Demos. They're also in Burbank here. Not in the same house, but
We're across the freeway.
the Burbank Heart of VO Land. We love doing this event. This is an event we do twice a year. It's called the Demo Listen Derby, and basically, what we do is a bunch of you have submitted your demos, and we are going to listen through as someone who is a decision maker and someone who would listen to a demo. We're going to run through a process that we call a gauntlet, um, of what happens when someone listens to your demo. And in doing that, we want to shine light and illuminate what makes a good demo. You can get a little comparison of how yours compares. One thing that we will note, and I'll introduce Brittany and Ryan here in a second, and we'll talk through the whole process in detail. But one thing I want to note is that this, like everything in the business, is totally subjective, right? We have informed points of view, and we will share from our hearts, literally from our hearts, like here's our hearts, right? What our thoughts are, and everything that we share is our thoughts on how you can be moving forward. That is the total reason for this. We work in we all have worked in the highest reaches of the realm, and we want you to be as well. So that is what we're doing here. Excellent. So, oh my gosh, so many awesome people. This is great. So let me introduce the team here. Jeffrey Gilbank is our Dojo team member. He is here. And if you need anything, chat with him. And let's jump in. Brittany and Ryan, do you want to say hi? And we'll introduce you, and then we'll talk about how this is going to roll.
Sure. I love it. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so excited you guys all tuned in. Like this is always so fun for us, and I mean, especially in the past year and a half that we've all had. It's nice to like see a bunch of faces. We're used to being in a dark booth all day, so this is a nice change. So I'm Brittany Cox. I am a voiceover actor and director. I work predominantly in commercial animation and video game. Some of my campaigns include Fandango, Sonic Drive-In, Amazon, and Microsoft. And some of my character work is in Fire Emblem, Genshin Impact, Rainbow High, and Finna Pirate Princess on Adult Swim. So yeah, I'm super excited to listen to all of the demos and share my experience of working in the room with big casting directors and directors, as well as I'm with A3 Artist Agency, previously Abrams, here in LA, and having talked with agents at that high level of what they expect demo wise, as well as regional representation, what they're also looking for when it comes to demos. And this is my husband, Ryan.
Yeah, and I'm Ryan Ricks. I'm the second half of the Next Level Voice Demos team. I work primarily as an audio engineer and composer. Some of my most recent work is I've done various audio editing and recording things for HBO, Netflix, and Adult Swim, which has been a lot of fun. And then I also write music for films and television and have music placed on a variety of television shows and commercials that are circulating out there, which is really great.
Including RuPaul's Drag Race.
That's true. That's true. RuPaul's Drag Race, super fun.
The car theme thing here.
Yes, absolutely. Right. And I mean, and also, a fun thing about me is I didn't start in the industry as a audio engineer. I got my start in the voice casting and music licensing and sonic branding side of the business. And so a lot of what we'll be talking about today is, obviously about what that casting process looks like from the point of view of a casting director, kind of what a day in the life looks like with that, and what is the responsibility of somebody who is putting together these commercial campaigns or, assembling characters for a video game or whatever it is, and kind of what that world looks like on the other side of the glass, and how these demos are representing you in an environment like that, and how you can best be prepared to structure your demo in a way that makes you most appealing and communicates your branding and what you're about in the clearest possible way. And just like Tish said,
I was just going to say, Ryan, the thing that I love about that is then you're thinking how you can best serve. How
Absolutely.
can you best serve what's going on for the client? Keep
Absolutely, yes. And it's exactly that. That's everything that we're going to talk about today. And like what Brittany said, and also what Tish said earlier, is we want to be like honest about what these standards are and to give you the best chance of communicating with your voice and your strengths so that they shine through in a very, busy environment. In a casting office, there's a lot of moving parts, and we're going to talk about some of that as we go through the rest of the workshop today. And so it's really, really important that your demo is as specific and as tailor-made for what your goals are as possible, rather than just being a thing. And we're going to go into a lot of detail about that, but it's going to be a ton of fun, and we're super excited.
Yeah.
And you're all amazing, and you all look beautiful, and it's going to be great.
And I think it's super fun because Ryan and I, another little side note is we've worked all over the country. We're originally from North Carolina, where we worked, and then we lived in Seattle for a really long time, and now we're here in LA. So we have a really good understanding of a lot of different regions, which is
first hands and from both sides of the glass. Yeah. I think that's really powerful. And also in what Ryan was just saying about we want your demo to be serving specifically for what you're going after. We also want it to be like the most amazing reflection of all of the facets of you, of all the things that you're bringing to the party, right? So that's also what we'll be listening for. I'm going to run through, I'm going to bring up on my screen, and hi everybody who's coming on. If you want to share where you're from and where you are in your voiceover journey in the chat, it's awesome. Got people from everywhere here, which is great because we can all be doing voiceover from everywhere. So the way we're going to roll here is we have some submissions and like just a really nice amount that we're going to be able to spend a little bit of time, I think, which is really cool. But this is, I'm going to put this in the chatty chat here. I'm going to put a link for this in the chat. This is what we call the gauntlet, run the gauntlet. So we're going to have each run the gauntlet here. And these are the things that we're going to be listening to. We're going to do an initial round. I think we have two genres, right? Tell us what we've got, Ryan. We're going to do one round, listen to commercials, and then
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll focus in on the commercial demos first. And then we also have a few animation and video game demos to listen through as well,
Cool, cool,
which will
cool,
be great.
cool. So we're going to listen through, and Ryan, as he said, we're going to use the methodology that was when he had a busy day. This is what he'd listen to. So we're going to go through exactly that process, and we call it Demo Listen Derby because we're going to have a big group, and then we're going to narrow it down and focus in, and then ideally we'll have some time to listen through to some whole demos. And what, have you experienced the process and how we're thinking about it? So we'll listen through. These are the things we're going to be listening for. And then the three of us will just kind of swipe left or swipe right. It's not personal. It's just our opinion. And then we'll put the ones that we want to listen to again into the next round. Okay. Again, it's fun. It's a game. It doesn't, yeah. So, so everyone.
All with love.
All with love. Awesome. So these are some of the things that we're going to be listening to. So the first impressions of your voice. Does it pop? Does it grab me in the first 3 seconds? Does it cut through? Can we hear it above the trucks that are coming through or the noise? Connection, does it move me? Is it true? Likability, do I want to spend more time with you when it's done? Because I mean, gosh knows that's really what how we build our businesses, right? You-ness, do I know you when your demo's done? Does it share what's uniquely you? And then there's the middle impressions that we're looking for. Production quality. It's great to have Ryan's ears here because he can hone in on stuff that is what someone you're paying to do your demo should be able to hone in on, right? So we'll be able to you'll be able to notice what you notice is also another great thing that you can hear here. What do you like? What makes sense to you? Competitive skills. Does it sound like something that I'd hear on air nationally or regionally? Understanding what the difference of those things are. And I love one of the many amazing things about working with Brittany and Ryan is they are really, really currently on the trend. They listen, they hone in on what is on the air now and create that for you. Range, do I have a good sense of all the facets of your voice? Contrast, what is way different? What is, is there juxtaposition or does it all sound exactly the same? Versatility, can I interpolate what I can do with you in between, right? If you can do red, blue, I'm assuming you can do purple, and your, a sense of your directability and the energy. At the dojo, we talk about something called the cellometer of levels of intimacy and energy, and we want a full spectrum of what you can do in your demo. And then the lasting impression. We just talked about this. Is it current? Is it up to date? You might have a great demo from 15 years ago and things are just different. The trends and the brands and stuff like that. Humor, does it make me laugh? Does it find you're funny? I think that's really important. Pacing, do the spots flow at the right rate? Surprise, is there something you weren't expecting? Is there a cumulative effect? Rhythm, does it take me on an enjoyable ride? And this is what I always look for. I always like, if I want to have an experience that I don't want to stop at any point during demo, and afterwards I want to go again, that was great. Marketability, do I know exactly what I can do with your voice? And vibe, what's your thing? And really, 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 really undeniability. Is your demo making you go like, I can't resist. We have to take a meeting with this person. They're amazing, right? And then as we'll talk more about understanding what a demo does, who's listening and why. And so we'll talk about these things, agent, audition, final cuts. I know I've been in, I've been like on a bunch of Avail things recently. I'm like, wow, hold on a second. So close. And yet we don't know. Okay. Yeah, so that's, I put that in the chat so everyone can kind of have that to refer to if you're if you're doing your demo for the first time, or working towards your demo, or revamping your demo. That's something we all need to kind of freshen up a little bit sometimes. Cool. So everyone has that. I'm going to stop my share. And shall we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. I just to kind of set the stage a little bit, because this is a very unique event, and to kind of just give everybody this kind of background of context for what we're going to be, obviously we're going to be listening for the things we just went through on the sheet, but just to kind of set the stage a little bit more specifically for this is let's shift our point of view just a little bit away from we're listening to demos just to listen to demos today, and let's pretend that we're like in the day in a life, a day in the life of a casting director, right? And so what that looked like for me when I would show up, to the studio is I would sit down and, I would have a brief from a particular client or whatever it was. And they would say, hey, we're looking for, a voice that's kind of like this or this type of energy. And this is the vibe we want to go for.
Here's the age range.
Here's the age range, whatever it is. And just for this example, we'll talk about commercial demos specifically. And so then my job would either be one of two things. It would either be to go through our demo bank, which was, 500 plus voice talent, and listen to those demos and pare them down to our representation of the talent we had available to us, 500 to 10, to submit those 10 to the client. And then the client would either request auditions based off of those 10 demos, or would just book the voice talent based off of those demos. And so that's really what we're talking about. And that's kind of the first thing. If there was, there's going to be a few kind of big takeaways for the day today. And this is the first one, is that your demo is not listened to in a vacuum. It's always being compared to or listened in context with whatever is happening in the moment. Mm-hmm. So a casting director is obviously going to be listening with an ear for a specific thing to fulfill a specific brief, which is different from what we're doing today, where we're listening to the demos for the sake of the demo. But it is something to keep in mind, is that your demo is always being compared to what's current and what's out there. And so one of the ways that you can make sure or start thinking about your own work and how your demo, if you have one, or if you're thinking about making one, or whatever that, wherever you are in that journey, the way you can make sure that it's serving you right from the get-go is to really immerse yourself in what that world is and what things sound like today. Just like Tish mentioned, the great thing about working in voiceover is that it can be a really long career, and you could have something that set you up brilliantly, 10 years ago. I mean, honestly, with how fast things move today, even 5 years ago, and you start, listening in and tuning into what's happening on the radio and on commercials on TV and et cetera, and you might be surprised how much performance trends have changed. Production trends from an engineering standpoint have changed so much. And, it really just becomes about getting familiar with that marketplace. And so always remember, your demo is never listened to by itself for its own sake. It's always being listened to in context with, all the other things that are out there.
And when it comes to demos, we always like to say as well, Tish was mentioning this earlier, because today is so unique and we're just listening to demos and the impression that they leave with us today. We always like to tell people, if your demo is opening the doors for you that you want them to open, then it's working. That's what it is. But if it's not opening doors that you want opened, that is something to consider. And hopefully today, if that's the case and you submitted a demo, hopefully we can give you some actionable things to look at and to consider to move forward and maybe open those doors.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's like, that's the burning question that we're kind of here to help everyone answer in their own ways. Is this demo that I've made or that I have or that I want to make working? Mm-hmm. And that's really the test. It's about getting clear about what your goals are. And then, is this demo helping me to achieve those goals? Am I getting the quality of auditions that I want? Am I getting the quantity of the auditions, or the quality of work or quantity of work that I want in whatever your demo is representing you in, whether it's commercial or video games or animation,
regional, national,
whatever those goals are for you specifically? And if the answer is, yeah, I'm rocking and rolling, like things are great, like I wouldn't change a thing. Well, don't fix it if it's not broken,
Yeah.
right? But if there's something that isn't quite working, or the answer is, well, I'm not getting the quality of work I want to be getting, or I'm not getting as much opportunity as I want, then a lot of the stuff we're going to go through today might help open your ears up to like, oh, I can hear, okay, I can see where I might want to, finesse some things or tighten the screws up a little bit in a few areas.
And I think also just understanding that like you might have made your demo a year ago and your skills have improved, or you have a new confidence that because you've crossed the threshold and you're booking stuff. So there might be a whole different energy that's happening in your work now that you want your demo to reflect. And all of us, if you haven't made your demo yet, to being in this for 25 years, always need to keep on making sure that it's reflecting and refreshed. So
yeah, always, which is great. So in order to kind of get the process started and to get listening, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start with commercial demos first. Just to answer this question right out the gate, which demo should I start with? What is this? What is that? Commercial demos you can think of as your most useful demos,
versatile.
Even if your goals are eventually to move into video game or animation work, the way that a casting director or an agent is listening to a commercial demo today is it's kind of your baseline. It's about how are you as a human being? Gone are the days of the kind of overproduced sound of I'm putting out a thing and I'm like da 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 in my commercials and whatever. And really today's trend is all about like connection, and it should just feel authentic to whatever your energy is. If you're super fast talking and really hyped, then we want to feel that, but in a really natural, genuine way. Versus if you're super laid back and like, yeah, man, life is just long and beautiful, then we want to feel that in your energy in an authentic way. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the baseline of commercial demos, and then we'll run through our process there, and then we'll bump over to some of the more character-based work in the animation and video games.
And so each thing we listen to, we're going to listen to it how Ryan would listen to a demo, coming in, just going through the 500 that he would have to go through. Anything that we want to listen more to later, like if it goes on to the next round and we all like it, we're going to put a little colored marker on it so that way we'll come back to it and listen in more detail after we get through this first round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and this is nice because we have a good sample of good people here. And so we should have a little bit of time. And then just so everybody knows, we are planning to have time at the end to answer your questions and get your, to hear your thoughts.
yes.
So
Absolutely.
we're really excited to see what's happening, and, let your impressions go in the chat too. Like if you're noticing something, it's probably something that we can all listen. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just like what Tish was saying, usually we have so many more demos in the can, and so we're not able to spend as much time. So today it'll be kind of cool to maybe to dig in a little bit more on some of these as we go through. But in theory, everyone should be seeing a little window with the demos. Just give me a little thumbs up to make sure that everybody can see that. Excellent.
Thumbs up, great.
Excellent. So let's jump in. So as a kind of the way that I was trained in the casting office to listen to demos to get an impression of what's there. And a lot of this really is instinctual. And so it's kind of like this self-fulfilling thing, right? Where the more immersed you are in the current trends, when you listen to something, it becomes really obvious whether something is on trend or something is not on trend. And so you'd be surprised how quickly you can kind of build up a like, yes, nope kind of response to some of these things based on what we're listening for.
Because they just don't have time in a casting office.
No.
Yes.
Well, and also just to understand that different offices, different people have different processes, right? If you talk to Tina Marasco at Sound and Fury, she says it is I listen to everything. I don't know if she listens to everyone's demos, but she listens to everyone's auditions through. So everyone's going to have a different practice. This is how we're approaching it, and with the high speed pace of things today, Probably. And frankly, notice where you lose interest, right? Like, where's your threshold if you had to listen to 500? Like, okay.
Yeah.
And that's 500 a day. And they might have multiple jobs they're casting in one day. So it's a lot of listening.
It is a lot of listening, but it's great. And so what we're going to do in this first kind of round is in the way that I was kind of trained to get through the bulk and get them down to something more manageable, is we're going to start and we're going to listen to like 3 to 5 seconds in the beginning. And then we're going to skip to somewhere in the middle of the demo and listen to another little, 5-second little bit. And then we're going to jump to the end. And so basically from those 3 little snapshots of this full demo, we should be able to get a sense of all the things that we touched on your Run the Gauntlet page of like, do we like this person? Were we grabbed by their voice? Do they feel really current, or does the production sound like kind of old, or does it feel gimmicky, or does it feel really good and exciting, and all of that stuff? So let's jump in.
Before I think we can toss Jonathan and Vanessa into the commercial realm. I know we had talked about, but Vanessa said she mislabeled that it should be a commercial too.
Do that one there.
Yep, and then that one. Yep.
Cool. We'll just pop it in there.
There we go.
Excellent. So let's give it a go. Let's pop through a few of these and let's see how we're all feeling. Yes, no, all of that stuff. So we're going to start with Anne.
Your cloud isn't just a cloud. It's everything flowing through it. One company takes you inside. That's Cisco. But our whiskey hasn't. Discover the smooth honey notes of Dewar's 15-year-old Stay Curious. With treatment plan, you've heard the call. The craving of new trails to see you out there.
Okay. Super interesting.
Yeah.
So clicking through for me in those first few moments, the very first spot on the demo didn't feel like a commercial to me. It felt more
narration,
like an in-house corporate type of performance. So right there in the real world, if I was going through this, it would just be a swipe and we would move on to the next thing. Just because it was clear that wasn't a commercial. And so if I'm listening for a commercial demo, it's a reason to say no. And I know that that's kind of a crummy way to go about it, but when you've got 500 for 5 jobs to whatever, that's kind of the context that it gets listened through. And then as we clicked through, what was interesting is there were more commercial type stuff on the demo, but the performances all lived in a very similar energy, and the production felt a little lazy. It didn't quite have that sparkle that we have grown to hear
on like the radio
or the TV, and what is really going to grab us in that way. So as a demo, I don't think it is representing Anne in all of the variety and all of the skills that she would be bringing to the table. And so for me, like if I was in the casting world, I would be like, well, I'm going to go to the next demo. But that was my impressions.
Yeah, mine was the same. It all felt like it lived in a very similar world. Anne's voice is really warm and nice, and I really like that, but I felt like I got that. So I wanted to hear some other colors, and I agree. The first spot felt very much like a narration spot.
And I, very similar, the first thing, very much narration, really like the voice. There's a sense of mature elegance and competence and strength. But then a lot of the spots had sort of low energy. Like it was a little bit behind the. So I would probably pass too.
Yeah, so super interesting how fast that goes. And so let's see. Next up is David. That's amazing.
So we produced David's demo a couple of months ago. So we're going to skip him for now. We will come back so we can listen in more detail. But yes, we did work with David recently. So if you're here,
hi, David. So let's pop down to Gina and give that a listen.
$1.99 for a delicious Dunkin' Donuts hot chocolate. It's like a big warm dream vacation delivered right to your door. Wayfair. Network you can count on to stay connected, and the unlimited you want for just $50 a month. This while 5 blades get Venus close. Where Nappers. They're the perfect play pillows that pull open to a sleepy sack surprise. Sleepy time?
Okay, cool. So
Cool voice.
cool voice. The beginning, like I like the expectation that the first spot set,
Yeah.
and that's something else that's super important in something to kind of keep in mind with a demo is it's kind of like a piece of music, right? How like whatever the expectation it sets in the beginning has to build and grow as the demo goes. So how you open a demo is really a strategic choice. And I thought in Gina's case, the opener was really strong. It felt really natural. And I felt like I was just there with her in conversation, which was great. And then as we went through, what was really interesting is I felt like that energy, I feel like that energy was there in a lot of different ways. And I noticed the demo is like a minute 25. Which immediately to me is like, oh, there's a lot of overlap in this. And so, you know, the goal of a commercial demo in today's market is a hardcore 60 seconds. Like you can be a few seconds on either side of that. But when you start seeing like a minute 25
A minute 40.
or a minute or whatever it is, then clearly there needs to be some like just hardcore editing because odds are that you're going to hear a lot of the same energy throughout the demo. And I thought that was the case. And so in terms of the demo, what I thought that there was enough variety in there and I could hear some more variety towards the end of the demo. So for me, I'm like, based on whatever Gina's specific goals are, I would trim some of these spots out and move some of the spots from the end closer to the beginning so that it gets more of a sense of her range of energy faster.
I'll be curious to listen to more. I felt like I agree. I really love the voice. They all felt like commercials and different vibes. I did feel like I was missing something relatable and conversational that didn't feel a little more hyped. So I'd be curious to listen to more.
Yeah, and that was my love the voice. Saw versatility, a little bit of that cellometer, like this is more energy, this is less energy. Everything seems a little pushed to me. Just a little like and nothing was making me come in. So again,
Absolutely.
that might just be the places that we popped in.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll put a purple dot for the room is
So we
just
can
my
listen
little
more.
note of like to come back to this and listen to the full demo later on. So great. Let's pop down to Jonathan.
Jonathan Appel.
Fort Wayne's home of classic rock, 98.9 WBYR, The Bear.
Wow, my aching back is
Court and off.
Hey, I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. And if I
Motion picture starring Timon and Pumbaa, The Lion King 1.5.
one of the largest
9 FM, Chicago's all-news station.
our restless planet.
Okay.
I really one thing I want to say before you jump in, because I know you have thoughts. So with demos today, you don't need to slate your name. Because we can see your name because everything is digital now. We don't have actual cassettes. So we can see your name, so you don't have to worry about slating. So leave that time for your actual performances and don't worry about slating.
Yes, that is super important.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but the demo came in at a minute 39, which just from the get-go is like, okay, it's this interesting thing of kind of like how when you get a referral from somebody, how that person's reputation is representing you to the other person. In a very similar way, these very basic things of having your demo around the 60-second mark, not having a slate, and like being really just on the ball with these few little details.
Makes it feel current.
It kind of sets that it makes it feel like you've been vetted and that you understand what you're doing and what you know about. Obviously, Jonathan, I have a feeling a lot of these are very real spots and that this is just a collection of things that he put together from work that he's booked, which is awesome. But in the context of a demo, that's not always the best thing, because for me as a demo, I felt like this was kind of all over the place. And it's called a variety demo. And I feel like that is appropriate because it kind of feels like a hodgepodge of things. And some of those things felt really dated.
Yeah.
like Lion King 1.5. That was like my childhood, which was like forever ago.
And so by having something that is clearly dated, it automatically puts the thing on of are you not currently working? Did you used to work? Are you not still working?
Even though the stuff is like really cool.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this double-edged sword of, in Jonathan's case, I've done all this amazing work. Let me put it together into this demo to show you like what a badass I am. But then at the same time, listening to it in this context, it's like, well, where's all the new stuff?
Yeah.
Where are the things that you're actively doing, and where are today's trends with this energy and that thing? And I think for me, in this context, that would be a reason to, swipe on, because this demo doesn't feel specific, and I don't know what Jonathan is about as a human being.
Yeah, I think, the voice is fantastic.
Clearly works a ton.
Radio imaging, announcer stuff, absolutely. But looking for a commercial demo for today, I want to know who you are as a person and what your brand is. So if you walked into the room, what kind of person am I getting? Am I getting someone I want to get a beer with, or am I getting someone who's like really sophisticated and knowledgeable about things? And I felt like that's what we were missing. We got a lot of the cool announcer stuff, but we didn't really get a sense of who Jonathan was. And I will say, since we did hear one of them, there was a spot that felt very character-y, like, hey, I'm doing a New Yorker thing. In today's market, anything that feels character-y in a commercial demo automatically dates you. So people today just want to hear who you are if you walked into a room at various different energies. So just as a little note.
And to just make that super clear is, when you're listening to the radio, because we get this question a lot, is you will hear character-based stuff on the radio. Like, that's not like, gone are the days of people doing that stuff and using that as part of their marketing.
Yeah.
But in the context of the demo, it's not necessary, and it communicates a different message. I guarantee you that the person that booked that job, that's doing that character-y sound that you're hearing on the radio as a finished spot, did not book the job with that character voice. They did something that was, very genuine and, authentic and appropriate for whatever that thing was. And then the client liked their vocal print or liked their energy, and then directed them into that. So in the context of the demo,
we want to know who you are.
We want to know who you are. And it's, you don't need to include character-based stuff on the commercial.
Or if New York is your thing, then what's your natural, like, hey man, I got a big old, whatever, what is your version of that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just to make that clear.
Yeah. And just in terms of Jonathan, super high quality, seemed very radio imaging heavy. So I'm in agreement. It's super high quality. Like, I know I'd be in good hands. Just a little confusing in this context. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So hopefully, we're starting to latch on to some trends and recurring themes as we're chatting about this stuff. So let's keep going. Let's go down to Katie.
Deliciously fruity. Dinner feels like a million years away. Grab and go. Camp.
A pre-status meeting, so you can talk about what you're going to talk about at the meeting when you... And I knew how to use the litter box. Oh, look at that. It's disgusting. Oh, poop already. What he wolfed down last week.
Okay.
I love this voice.
Cool energy as a person, which is great.
Yeah.
I would say, again, it really becomes about that referral process, or that awareness of what the expectations are, because even though there is, a lot of this stuff can be subjective in the sense of, Brittany might really gravitate toward one person's voice and I might not, or vice versa, or whatever. There are some kind of baseline standards that are not subjective. And one of those is, if you're going to put together a commercial demo, it needs to be a commercial demo, and it needs to sound like the commercials that you're hearing on the radio and TV today. And so for that reason, even though Katie's energy was really nice, and even though all of these things, she had these great moments where it felt like we were maybe with her in a scene or doing a thing, which are totally appropriate for certain types of commercials, it did not sound or feel like a collection of commercial work that she could have booked. And so because of that, it feels like she may not be aware of what the expectations are. And because of that, it's kind of lets you down in that capacity.
And I would say the first spot kind of set up this really great expectation of like, oh, this is a cool commercial. Okay, where are we going to go from here? And then I felt that, we were clicking into some scene work and stuff. So then I got confused about, oh, are these actual commercials? I didn't hear any brands or anything, and it didn't feel quite right. So I feel like it set up a really great expectation and then kind of let me down as I was clicking through.
Yeah, I agree. Super fun and very competitive, on-trend voice right now. The demo itself felt a little unfinished and a little homemade. And then I don't know how you guys feel about this, but even just that we clicked in and there's the word poop, like suddenly I'm thinking about like poop, or like, about like, oh, poop. Wait, and I think it might, maybe in context, it's not just that, but I'm always like, I don't want to like talk about tampons, I start thinking about other things, which might take me off of my ride. I don't know.
Fair. Like maybe don't include Viagra on a commercial demo, maybe,
If it's super funny, then yeah. But it's just something to kind of keep in mind. Like, where's the places that make people start going like, wait, what? Hold on, poop. What?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. But love the voice. The thing that I hear is potential.
Yes.
In this demo. Like, ooh, that's a great voice. It's in process here. Let's grow it. That's what I hear.
Totally.
100%.
Excellent. So
Keith.
Let's listen to Keith.
There is a place where hopes are born every day to challenge the impossible, where the stars shine. But if everything were to run on something else, the 100% of the day, when it's available, and even 10% off smart home services, is the sound of the owners realizing the scratchers had the Replay logo. We believe common sense is worth more than dollars and cents. We've all...
Let's see. I'm conflicted, and here's why. Is like when the first spot came out, I was like, "Oh, great!" Like I thought.
Yes, is what I did.
I thought the vocal was really strong. Mm-hmm. I thought the production was fine, and that it could totally slot in with something that you would hear on the air, radio, whatever, in whatever capacity, which was great. But then as we went through the demo, what jumped out to my ear and is that every single spot sounded the same, meaning that it sounded like he recorded everything on all in the same way, and everything was just done in the exact same way, which is not how any sort of thing in the real world would work. Like you would have different performance shifts, and you would have I felt like there was a missing bit of this energy, shades of energy and color in the performance side, and then in the production side, same note, like this shift of maybe in this spot the producer liked the music a little farther forward, or in this one maybe there's more sound design or more this or that. Like, so from a production standpoint, it lent itself to feeling kind of all in the same place, which made it feel a little bit homemade, which
well done.
Which may or may not be, helping in terms of getting, that quality and quantity of work that Keith might be looking for.
Yeah, and I would agree. There were a couple of times you clicked through and I was like, wait, is that the same spot? Or that and it's just a really, really long spot? Or are they different spots? That happened to my ear a couple of times. So it could, I think an actionable thing to do to take this like to the next level is maybe cut in a couple of things that are like where the pacing is different, where it's either like fast talking and really upbeat, or more hey, we're having a coffee or a beer and just hanging out, as opposed to this gravitas that Keith beautifully has. Like I a lot of those things I really liked, but yeah, just including a couple of things that feel very different from everything else.
Yeah, I love that idea of changing the pacing. I The first spot really grabbed me too. It was like, okay, here we go. We're in great hands. I had the opposite. Once again, I'm not listening with engineering ears, but I had the opposite. I didn't feel homemade at all. I felt like, oh, this is a campaign quality voice. Like this is someone I could call in and can carry a campaign. Like I got a very, very pro. It really grabbed me and really drew me in. And then I wrote down that it was interesting because it was variations of drawing me in, right? So there was variation. And this is actually an interesting thought that comes through because we do want the brand. It feels like from this demo, my experience of Keith is he would get cast in the same role in different plays, right? Like like Alan Rock or something like that, right? So like I'm not sure if I'm articulating that clearly, but so there was variation within sort of the same side of Keith.
It was like a narrow variation.
Yeah, and so maybe seeing other sides of you, but I thought it was high quality. I would say yes to that, even though there's stuff that I would say yes to that, even though there's stuff that I think could be. I think he's bringing even more to the party. That's what I would say.
We'll give it a purple, and maybe in between we'll hear some of that stuff.
All right, let's give Kimberly.
When I started this commute, everyone said I was crazy. There, the journey starts. Card now through Sunday. Get 40% to care for all day. All right,
Fantastic.
Kimberly, I feel like you work all the time and you're a professional and you do national things.
Super great.
Could you guys hear that? I love that we listened to this right after Keith, where everything kind of, even though it was, I feel like he's working at that national level and doing that stuff, everything kind of lived in a similar place. Kimberly still had that national feel, but I heard different things. The pacing was changed. I was like, oh, that's a Macy's spot or a retail thing. Oh, this is more heartfelt. Oh, this is just her like just hanging out with her girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
The energies were so great and it felt so good.
Mm-hmm. And everything felt really specific.
And to her.
And it felt, nothing felt put on or forced. Everything felt like it was like Kimberly like going shopping and like having more of a like fast-paced kind of energy vibe, or like her like leaning back and like having a drink, or like, just strolling through the park or whatever it was. And like all the energy shift was there. From a production standpoint, there was enough variety in there to where everything felt like it was done in a different place, which is really important. And I think that's something that is always a consideration for these contexts is, how do you want your demo to represent you? If your goal is that you want your demo to feel like a body of work that has been, collected and has been, you've been doing recently, then that sonic variety of this Macy's spot sounds and feels different from this Toyota spot, then from this whatever, then that's something to really pay attention to and make sure is super on point for everything. And I thought Kimberly's demo did a great job of that. Great demo.
Yeah, and I also thought yes. And I also thought there was a really nice through line of like, oh, I know this. When I need that voice, I know exactly what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything was super clear and the energies and all that stuff was really there. So it was really colorful. It was
Give
great.
her a purple.
Well, she gets a purple, but we're not going to come back and listen to it again. It was perfect.
She's already amazing.
It was perfect. That was perfect. Okay. Let's see. Myers.
What's my secret fantasy? The object of my desire.
10 years ago, we didn't worry about it, and more than 50 advances in sound to get away from it all.
Quilted napkins. Eat, drink,
healthy. It shines.
This is really interesting because I feel like Myers has a great range of like, I feel like different energies, but everything feels like it's from 15 years ago. Just sonically, I like it. It feels like it's those old, like call 1-800-AT&T. It feels really old to me, like dated to me.
It's interesting. It was also like, I'm sure because it was really quiet for us. Like there's quite a big difference between, Kimberly's demo that we listened to that came through like at like a
Really
competitive
clear.
loudness and was nice and easy to listen to. And then Meyer's demo, it was like had to reach for the volume knob to like crank it up and hear what was going on. And I agree with Brittany. I felt like it did feel quite like it was made a number of years ago, and it did not necessarily feel like something that I would hear today. And so for that reason, it was hard for me to connect with what the voice was doing and what the performances were doing. And so it would be a pass for me. And that's something that's a great kind of, now that I've said it, I'm like, that's a really eloquent way to think about production, because that's, a huge consideration in your demo is you have your performances, which are the most important thing. And then you have your production. But if your production is distracting, then it stops people from connecting with your amazing performances. And so the role of production, meaning sound design, music, like
mix,
good editing and mixing and all of those things, is to amplify and draw the listener to exactly what you want them to hear, which is your performances and how connected you are. And in this case, I felt like the production did the opposite, where I couldn't get through it in order to hear what the voice was doing.
Because it put doubt in our minds of like, how old is this? And so I wasn't thinking about what Myers was saying. I was thinking about, how old is this? Does Myers still sound like this? When was this made?
Exactly.
Interesting. It's a good strong voice. I'm intrigued by the name, and I was your name. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a male or a female. So that's an interesting thing, and just of like, what do you expect? And then it's a nice voice. There was something a little put on about a lot of, like, there was differentiation, but it was a little put on. So it had a little polish to it. The first time I got a glimpse of like, oh, I think that's her, it was the spot that said it shines. So I think I'd like to have more you. And if you are doing something like upscale, then really embody upscale without putting it on. There was a little bit of, so it's not bad. It's just maybe not as you as it could be.
Sure.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
All right, Pamela.
Does your step counter show you've made it halfway to your step goal for the day before 7 a.m.? Not because you're the get up and run 5 miles before work type, but because you just haven't fallen asleep yet? Put your insomnia to bed with Nocturnal Rest, all natural sleep aid.
It's only 15 seconds. So I was like, might as well.
Oh, I was like,
which was great.
Because I wasn't looking at first. I was very confused.
Totally cool. Like, I would put this not in the category of a demo per se, like more of a sample. I would also say that
felt narration.
It felt more in that, like, I can't tell you what it was. Was it pharma? I don't know, but it kind of felt like that.
Narration.
Like, it felt like it existed in a more narration world.
Talk to your doctor if you want to do this and have the steps.
Yes, as opposed to like a commercial place.
Yeah.
I have seen this in the past, which is, and it's kind of cool sometimes. Like, if you like do a thing, having just like a 15-second sample rather than a demo to represent you is cool. That being said, like, it is kind of like, it's kind of like, here, take it or leave it. And it doesn't leave a lot to the imagination.
So if we were looking for something very specific that Pamela was showing in this sample,
then maybe.
Yeah.
Then maybe.
But in the context of a demo, it doesn't really let us know what Pamela is capable of doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. But my first impression was, oh, this sounds like a good narration, or probably she does e-learning or something like that. And totally competitive there. And the pacing was a little bit more, see how this goes was very even. And then there was a little shift towards the end that was like, oh, it is an ad. So it's a good voice. I would be interested in hearing more. And I'm very, very intrigued, especially as we're developing people, to encourage people to have samples, right? So we're ready for anything. And when opportunities come, like, here's something, and to know that, it might be even something that you start putting a sample on a pay to play, right? But you wouldn't necessarily just send a sample to an agent, like getting to a certain level. So I think that distinction between having a sample and having a competitive, fully produced demo, two parts of the journey.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see.
Richard.
Let's do Richard, and then let's see. We're getting to, or like 5 minutes from the top of the hour, so let's maybe go Richard, and then one more commercial after that, and then let's move into the character world, if that sounds good to you, Tish.
Or I would like to. Maybe we can just do faster. It seems like there's so few people that if we can go pop, like give our feedback faster.
Love it.
That seems fun.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's 85 inches of awesomeness that measures up to your Monday night place of work. I'm thirsty, so I get a soda from the... There's more to it. It only sounds unfair? Create equity at work. Organic milk. Meet Carl, a hypothetical. Start comparing at thezebra.com.
I like the voice. It all feels kind of like nothing feels set. Like I would not know how to cast Richard. I don't know if he's a dad. I don't know if he's relatable, an everyday dude I want to catch a beer with, or like it was just okay. It just felt everything just felt kind of generic to me. So I didn't know specifically where I would cast him other than Guy. Is how I hear it.
I also agree. That was my impression as well. It didn't feel specific, and I was missing a real sense of personality in there. It just kind of felt like a read, like a slightly different read each time, maybe. But I didn't feel like I was getting a real sense of like a person on the other end of the microphone.
And I don't know if any of those felt like real spots to me. Like there's something about the mix that just kind of kept me away from it. So, but what do you think, Tish?
I think it does. Like, I think it does capture sort of like Rich sort of is a guy, and we got the guyness. I think it's a kind of similar to was it Keith? I think kind of similar, like, oh, this is a thing, and then it was kind of variations on a thing, and then I think there's good, solid, and good variations that kind of resonates, but I think like the first spot, the production pulled me out. Like I was a little struggling to hear the voice. So there's
interesting. I mean, it would be a pass for me. Like just because I don't really know what Richard is about from this demo.
Yeah.
All right, Rob.
You're doing a lot more from home these days, so can't ignore that. Learn more at heart.org. So why not go with the supplement that's proven to boost your immunity all day for every snack? Crest Pro Health fights plaque 24/7 toothpaste brand in America.
I feel like I've heard this voice on TV.
Yeah, it feels great. Yeah. I would say the opening spot, marvelous, great thing. It set a great expectation. As we went through the demo, though, it started to feel kind of same. So there might be
it was that narrow. It like there was a little bit of variation, but it felt very narrow.
Right. And to just, I know we're trying to like move through it fast or whatever, but this is a great example because it's come up twice now, is we're not after variety for variety's sake. That doesn't serve anybody. And that's not what we're listening for. We're not listening for way up here and way down here and whatever. If you do a thing really well, then that's great to focus in on that and to represent yourself that way. That being said, like as a commercial demo, the idea is that your life experience and you as a person are a very variety, you have a lot of variety of experiences, and you can pull from your life experiences as a human being in order to bring in these different colors and these different energies, so that when they're in the context of this demo and we're going back to back to back to back to these things, they don't all feel the same. They feel like the same person existing, but in a different context. And I feel like that's what we were missing from Richard, and that's what we're missing from Rob as well, is even though they have a great vocal print and the first spots on the demo are very grabbing and very whatever, as we go through the demo though, that same energy is still there at that same level, it's kind of like a straight line, as opposed to what's Rob like when he's tired? What's Rob like when he's like excited about something?
Talking about puppies.
A lot of times I say, like, what are you when you're wearing different things, right? Like, what are you when you're fresh out of the shower, which is kind of vulnerable, kind of refreshed, kind of vulnerable, whatever that means to you. And what are you when you're in a flannel shirt, when you're in, your favorite sleeping shirt, your flannel shirt, your, your pressed khakis and a nice button down. Your have to go someplace with a button down shirt that it's not your, like, and then all the way up to what is you're styled for the Academy Awards, like what's your version of that. It's kind of an interesting fun way to get the variations of you, right?
Sure. Exactly. And then like actionable, like Rob, if this demo is working for you, fantastic. It sounds like you're already working. But if you were looking to add or adjust something, I would just say include a spot or two where your pacing is just different. Like, I think that would do a lot for you. So that the pacing, and it's just mixed by someone different.
Yeah.
Shannon, is that right?
Shannon Paul.
You know what starts soon? School.
YMCA has all the outdoor fun.
And their babies. Target presents Target Free Family. Saw my doctor.
Hey, Jen.
Hitting on me, Carol.
Cool. This is great. I'm so glad.
This happened. Please get rid of that slate at the beginning, because I thought it was going to be a man. Like, I got so confused.
So it goes back to the slate thing, which is cool. It is Shannon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hard to read because my eyes are
we're far away.
I love as we got into the demo, I love the spots. Everything felt really authentic. Like, your vocal print sounds amazing. Your energy had a lot of color and variety to it.
Once I got past the shock of the slate,
which was really, really great. Kind of another way that I would describe what Tish was talking about, of like you in different outfits. I thought Shannon did really well of kind of like you having different conversations. For example, I'm going to talk very differently to Brittany when we're like alone than I am going to talk to like my boss or to a client or to my grandma or whatever. And just having those different conversations and engaging in that level of specificity, it's going to change my energy and it's going to change how things feel. And I thought she did a great job of that. One other thing, though, is in addition to getting rid of that slate, because it's totally unnecessary, is towards the back half of the demo, there was that structure of a commercial where you're having a conversation with somebody. In the context of a demo, that is confusing because we're moving so fast. And like, we're moving really slow today by comparison to how fast this really goes. Hearing another voice that's not your own, if you really think about it, that's not serving you.
Why would you show off somebody else's performance? What if I love their voice more than yours?
And that has happened before many times, where you're going through a demo and somebody puts in a commercial where it was structured in that way of like hey, Jen, what are you doing? Oh, nothing much. I'm just washing my car.
And they like the other voice.
And they liked the other voice and booked the other talent off of somebody else's demo. So kill it.
And I think that also was a convention from an earlier convention.
Right.
That, when I started out, it was, you did want to have a dialogue spot on your thing.
No longer.
Yeah. No longer. And Shannon, love the Eunice. I would love to hear, and maybe there is some in there, but it's all the forward version of you. And I would love to have the draw me in version of you too.
I heard all of that in there. I thought it was great.
I would agree with Tish. I think there was some more, but it might be in there and we just missed it as we were clicking through.
All right, let's see. Terry Parker Brown.
There are big dreams.
My dream is to buy an SUV.
And then there's Powerball. Dynamic wins. Boeing is how you sonic. Mother Nature. That's what you're going to have for dinner. I'm calling Domino's. Whoever said there's nothing.
Okay. So vocal print wise, like just the sound and quality of the voice, so great. Love it. I love how warm Terry feels. I love the intimacy in the voice, and the vocal print has this little bit of texture in it, which is so nice. Really great, really competitive. And I liked how like overall the performances felt really settled. That being said, this goes in that category for me where production kind of stands in the way of connecting, and it kind of felt like the demo was very limited. All of the performances felt like they lived in this very narrow section, and the colors from spot to spot didn't really change. It was kind of like, hopefully everybody could hear how the vocal just kind of lived in this straight line across everything. And then like the music just kind of swapped in and out underneath. It kind of was just like this weird little thing. It didn't feel like we were going from national TV to regional radio to YouTube to Hulu to whatever it is. Like we were missing those color shifts and energy shifts, both in the performance and in the production.
And then also from me, from a branding perspective, some of the spots, the branding is totally not correct for what those campaigns are. Sonic does not do that at all. And for their past 5 years, they haven't done branding like that. And then Domino's was the same. It's not correct. So that's also an important thing too. The spots that are on your demo and the real clients that are on your demo, make sure the branding is at least in the ballpark. Because if it's super different, anyone who's done casting for those will immediately be like, oh, they haven't worked on these spots. They don't understand what the trend is now. That's not real. And so it automatically puts doubt in their brain that either you're not current or you don't understand the market.
And I also felt like, ooh, what a fantastic voice. It just envelopes.
Oh yeah. You can feel it right here.
Oh yeah. So good. So rich and full. I did hear a little variations in attitude, so I got a sense that you could do different things. And then I think it might be a little bit more of the production level that was more
letting her down.
That in like here, right? If I present myself like, hi, I'm here. That's a different, and I'm always here. And now I'm going to make you a sandwich, and I'm here. And it's different than if I go, yeah, I'm here, right? So there's something that I think that was a little bit my experience. But I mean, I would say the quality of the voice, I would go like, oh.
Oh yeah, the voice was fantastic.
This was
definitely a branding and a production that let you down. Not the voice or the performance.
And I think even let you down is like that could be considered in today's market, right? It could be approached differently, right? Because let you down is like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Cool. Couple more.
So Todd.
I know what a hammer is. I also know where to get one. On auto insurance.
The crave is calling. Answer it.
Six Flags! Lots of fun!
Does the sleeping tablet you're now taking seconds taken as directed? I call.
Todd, I feel like you're such a goofy dude, and I love that. I just wish that I had something where it was just you talking and having a conversation with me. Is what I feel is missing.
Yeah, and I would say along with that, I thought again, this first spot coming out, it if you are really that type of person where you have this great sense of humor and whatever else, fantastic opener. Yes. It felt really strong. It set a strong expectation for the rest of the demo. Yeah. I was like, ooh, great. Todd's awesome. And then as we went through the demo though, the production value decreased dramatically as we went through. And then some of the spots kind of tipped that scale into too charactery. And there are clients that live in that place, like Six Flags.
It's good to have that little bit of punch, but
yeah, but it definitely for my ear, it tilted into this more charactery place as opposed to what Brittany was talking about, where I would love to just hear more of just you vibing with me one-on-one in a conversation, whatever else, and get away from some of that stuff. Because the opening spot communicates a lot of that for you, that there's no reason for you to take it to level 10 in terms of the charactery comedy kind of stuff. Because the first spot, it's all in there. It's so great.
Yeah, totally. That thing that I said in the gauntlet of do I want to spend time with this person? Is it going to be fun to work with this person? Totally got that sensibility. It made me laugh right off, which is always that's super fun. Oh, that was funny. That's great. And then I got lots of different like energies and things that you could do. I think, a little even more just you, would be even more delicious.
Yeah,
But,
it would just take it to that next level.
fun.
So actionable, throw a couple of things, one or two things in there that's just more conversational in you.
I'd want to hear more of that.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Like
I don't know if we
would
will
put a
have
dot.
time, but yes, I did like that.
And then
Vanessa.
this will be our last one. And this is another compilation, so I'm not sure what this is going to be.
Australia isn't just a place you see, it's a place you feel.
I am 100% better. Hey, see? Simple.
Favorite episodes of Friends.
Now with a tantalizing.
Great. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious, like this is not really a commercial demo. It's a compilation type thing. That being said, like you want to be really careful about compilation stuff and lumping things together, because this goes back to the very beginning where we were talking about who is this demo for and who are you serving. And it really becomes a tool for opening specific doors for you. And so something that we haven't said yet, but it's kind of a really neat and tidy way to think about it, is that your demo is not your resume. Your demo is a tool for opening specific doors and leading your career in a specific direction, which is why it's important that your demo grows and evolves with you. That doesn't mean you need to like hire 12 producers to do it, whatever.
Not every year.
It just means that like as things change and as you grow and develop as a voice talent, just keeping an ear to making sure that what's being represented on your demo is representing you the way that you want to be represented. And so in this regard, I would say like, you know, this compilation thing, it kind of had that spirit of a resume. It's just like, here's a whole bunch of stuff and let's just see what happens, as opposed to what types of jobs do I want? And who am I submitting this demo for? And how do I want to be represented in the room by my demo? For example, I heard some promo-y stuff on there, which is usually kept in its own category. There was some TV narration stuff on there, which is generally its own demo.
And then a couple of commercials.
There was a few commercially type things that could either be commercials or more like corporate in-house stuff that are usually each their own thing. And so you want to be really specific about what those things are and making sure that your tools are representing you in the best way rather than just throwing it all in there. Because just like what we did is what any casting director is going to do. They're going to click through and go, I have no idea what this is. I'm done. As opposed to what you want is,
this is great. Okay, this is awesome. I want to keep listening. And I think that's the thing that really, like Vanessa, you have a great voice, and you know, because we've worked with Australian clients too, and I know demos are slightly different over there, but I do feel like I don't understand who you are as an actor and as a human. And I think that's what's really missing, is getting more specific about who you are and what in a commercial context, what kind of branding can I expect from you?
Yeah. The things that I think are great is it's you have a niche. In our market right here, it's a niche, and in Australia, it's your commercial demo, right? So, but the authenticity and the clarity of that is really, really great. I think, that for anybody who has something like, this is my thing, this is what I do, this is who I am, that was really clear and authentic. I heard some variations through the different things. Again, I'm trying to think of a metaphor. It's almost like suiting up for different sports, right? So if we're expecting you to play tennis and you come with hockey gear, you might be a great athlete, but I'm like, wait, why are you wearing hockey gear here? But so I think that's one of the ways you can also look at having things on different genres on different demos. Yeah.
So let's move over to animation and video games so we can go through those and then make sure we have time for questions. How does that feel?
I think that's good. There was one request. There was one more commercial that was squeezed in. I don't know. It was Alexander
is it?
Up to the top.
Where is it? Alexander? Yeah, we'll click through that real quick.
Today's the day you switch to Rite Aid. Meet Sally with over all electric Volvo online discount. Help at Ace means going to your...
Cool.
Yeah.
I thought everything felt great. I thought production-wise, there was enough variety in there to where it felt like these were coming from different places and were airing in different ways. Performance-wise, great vocal print. I loved the changes in energy.
Yeah.
The demo's 20 seconds too long. I could definitely hear some moments where things could be edited out to make it more of a tighter presentation, so that, you know, in the context of this linear fashion of a demo of one thing after another, we're always getting something different rather than getting repeats of energy. But overall, like,
it feels good.
It's a really good demo.
And I know exactly what your branding is. I mean, it's you know, young, relatable guy who's kind of cool, and, you know, let's go hang out and do stuff. But he can also be like a little more caring as well.
There was a little bit of a like on. I'm trying to figure out how that. There was something that I kept on hearing, that like that little thing that I heard again and again. But it's super high quality and again really clear. Oh, and then just to remind, so well done, Alexander. Just a reminder, we did talk about coming back to David's. I don't know.
Well, let's, because I'd rather get through the animation and video game stuff of people who submitted, since we did work with David.
Okay, so that's the after everything. Good.
Right. And also, like, in the past, we've kind of gone back through and listened in more detail, but because we had so few submissions, which was great, we talked about a lot of stuff in between. So I don't think we need to go back in and like listen down to a whole thing. Like, we've talked about a lot.
Let's see where we're at, and I think it could be good to listen through, because I think sometimes in this process we do hear like, oh wow, no, or you're like, oh wow, that was So it could, let's see where we get to, because I think it's also really nice. It's really nice, you know, we're talking about the difference in genres, and then, you know, here we can take a look at, like, these are the other things that now we're looking at through a whole different lens for a whole different reason. So it's good to get that contrast too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when it comes to, animation and video game are typically separate demos, because we're listening for different things. For animation, we're looking for,
and these are kind of broad strokes, general starting places.
Yeah. So just like we've been talking about, who is this demo serving? Who is this demo for? So when it comes to animation, we're looking for comedy. We're looking for range. We're looking for, if I hire you for an animated show, I'm going to need you to voice 3 different characters who might all be in the same scene. Can I believe you doing that? And still have fun and have this different type of pacing and energy, because animation moves really fast. Video game has a lot more space. Depending on the types of games you're doing, they can be very cinematic. We want to hear accents. We want to hear dialects. We want to hear, can I believe that this orc is a real person that I can play for an entire game?
Exactly.
And I want to hear the movement in all of your stuff. I want to hear the scene work.
Exactly. And that's kind of the big thing to really listen for, is the scene, is do I feel immersed and involved with these characters? That applies in a commercial setting as well, just in a different, you know, kind of context of, like, you know, am I grabbed in and am I being absorbed in this world that we're creating? But in animation and video game, it becomes even more specific about like, you know, where are you in the space? Like, am I yelling across the room? Are they here? Am I over there?
Do
like,
I have different energy levels?
Am I under duress? Am I whatever? Like, all of these new acting things, just like you would have in a TV show or whatever, all come into play. So that's what we're listening for.
And I do want to put a caveat as well for anybody who is currently thinking about putting together a demo. Do not put anything in your character, in your video game or animation demo, that you cannot sustain for 4 hours.
Yes.
If you can't sustain it for 4 hours, do not put it on your demo, because odds are that's what you're going to be hired to do.
And so, you know, in terms of industry standard, in terms of sessions and whatnot, generally your longest sessions that you'll be available for voiceover work is 4 hours. And so that's where that number comes from. And so, again, if you can't sustain it for that period of time, then don't put it on your demo. Great.
Yeah, let's jump in with Ian.
And the same rules apply. 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
Marines will deploy in sectors Kilo and Lima. Colonel, you and your team will provide air cover.
Right here.
Good. Bring me the amulet. He's so full, I'll strike you down. The virus will release when he's beside me. Thank God you are here. The power of the ancient Shogun. First no self, then no enemy.
Super interesting with this is I obviously, like, given the nature of what this is in terms of being a video game demo, we're getting different vocal prints throughout. That being said, what I was missing was all the meat and potatoes behind the vocal prints. Like, it's really important, and it becomes really obvious when you are like working in the industry, and like this is what Brittany and I are doing these sessions every day, like every week. This is our world. And so to my ears, it was very easy for me to hear that Ian was missing that scene work, that believability, and all of that backstory.
I was just shocked. Like, that was a video game demo. I thought that was totally an animation.
No, and I thought the same thing. I thought the copy and the voices geared more towards animation. But even on top, even if you switched it to an animation demo instead of a video game demo, the scene work wasn't there. It just felt like a voice. And I think that's the challenge with character work, is it's not just about the voice. It also has to be a believable character that is living and breathing and interacting in a scene, as opposed to just a voice. And that's what, for me, that's how it felt.
Exactly. In terms of like the structure and what we've been talking about the length of the demo is great. 4 seconds over, perfect.
Fine.
The production was pretty decent throughout. But in terms of, what really is important in this context is that scene work and that feeling behind everything. There could be quite a bit more oomph
work
in
for
there,
that.
which is great. So let's bump down to Jonathan.
Ugh, gross. I thought these things stank when they were alive. We're holding up as best we can, but they...
Fireball this! Lightning!
Arnica! You already have.
See?
It sounds like it could have been. It sounds like that could have been like one long scene, and if it's not, it's the reason it sounds that way is because of the effects that are being added onto the vocal make it seem like it's all coming in the same scene. That being said, in terms of the scene work itself and the vocal prints, it had a different feel to it. Like, hopefully everybody could hear that. Like, it felt like I
plucked it out of a show or a game or something.
Yeah, and those different moments felt really specific, and the acting choices felt really strong. Like, there were moments when he was talking to me and we were
this.
We were right here.
And then he was yelling across
and then there were moments when we were getting something that was more like out to the room, or something that was more in danger or whatever. Like,
and that deeper voice was a really nice surprise. I didn't expect from Jonathan's like younger voice print. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's super awesome. So I would say, in terms of the demo, I know it's listed as a character demo, and I would say that it does kind of feel a little wishy-washy in that regard. Like, I'm wondering,
it could lean one or the other way.
It could lean one way or the other,
depending on the thing.
So it might be worth, if you were looking, if something, for some reason, if this demo wasn't booking you the type of work you wanted to book or whatever it was, something to look at might be getting more specific in either the video game category or the animation category, to just help tip the scales a little bit, so that your ear can be like, oh, this is what I'm listening for. This is the world that we're living in, and these are the types of characters that I am, that I'm listening for, and that might just help settle things a little bit.
And Tish, what did you think?
Well, it was really, really good, strong. I liked the shifts. There was a shift at the beginning of like, here's this going on, and this is going on, and then there was like, hey man, this is going on, and then that's where I was like, oh, are we still in the same scene? I really was really impressed with the scream at the end too. Like, that was just really going for it. It seemed really authentic, really like, oh, he can sustain a scream that's completely in context and takes us on a little journey. Like, that's like just finding the nuances with things like that, like efforts and things like that. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
It's so important. Yeah. And especially knowing that he can go there. So if I book him for a very emotional role, I can trust he can go there.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Absolutely.
All right, Michael.
You have Starfleet Command's every confidence.
If you're not with me, you're against me. Shall we begin?
So this kind of goes back to, the same thing we were hearing a little bit in Ian's, where the vocal prints are a little bit different, but it kind of feels like empty calories a little bit compared to what we just heard from Jonathan.
Where it's like a scene and I can hear the emotion and all of that stuff.
Exactly. Something to be really conscious of if you are not pulling your video game work or animation work from a pre-existing show, like, if you were
something that you recorded.
Yeah, like if you were casting Phineas and Ferb and you pulled a clip off of YouTube for your part in the show. If you're making something from scratch, it's super, super important that you pay attention to how you are putting yourself in spaces. One of the kind of the giveaways, just like in the commercial demo, how like production was a distraction. In video game worlds and animation world, when people are making their own demo, they tend to put reverb and delays on everything. That's also kind of a big giveaway. So you want to be really sensitive, even more so in these more immersive type styles of content, about your production choices. Because again, anybody, paying $60 for a video game wants to get lost in the soundscape and in the world of characters and all of this stuff. Your sound bites need to represent that same feeling, versus an animation show where if we're on TV, we're wanting to be involved and invested in whatever our heroes and our villains and whatever else are happening in the show. So the soundscape needs to match all of that. So production plays an even...
not taking over your voice, because it's not a sound design demo as well. There needs to be a really nice balance, because it should be all about your voice and your performance.
Exactly.
With the sound just supporting you and making it feel authentic.
Exactly. And in Michael's case, I felt like the production was letting him down in that regard. And then from a performance standpoint, again, we were missing that scene work, that feeling and that emotion and purpose behind all the different characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit more idea driven than being in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of what
all right, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the moment you've all been waiting for. Good. I was starting to get bored.
Endure the patient.
No, God, please.
Your quarter steak well done. It's still bloody bleeding.
So please, don't.
Cool.
Sean, I would change the thing. Instead of character, I would say it's more of an anime or animation demo than a character demo. Just for your brain. I loved it. I thought your range felt really nice. I thought the scene work was really great. I was like, oh, I've heard that. Oh, I've heard that. Oh, that's in a show. Especially that last like kind of emotional thing. I was like, oh, that's in an anime. Yeah. So I believed every one of those scenes.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say along with that, like great production, great performance.
Nothing felt distracting.
All of that stuff felt really good. And along with what Brittany was saying about relabeling it from a character to, maybe an anime or an animation type thing, it just helps in that kind of referral mindset of, do you know what you're talking about? Character, you could kind of say that's the same thing as compilation or variety. It's not specific. Who is your character demo for? If it's not for the video game developers and it's not for the animation directors, who's it for? Why did you make it? And so just getting more specific about what that is for you. And if there are things, once you make that choice, you might hear with a different ear of like, oh, here are some things that I might change with this existing material to make it this type of demo and to serve this clientele better. Or you might notice some things that are missing. That you want to add in to help supplement what's currently there to make it even more targeted for your, for the casting directors who are doing that type of work.
And I would say, Sean, if you're not in anime, you should consider it.
Yeah.
And then, really, again, with the like really going for it from the get-go, that like, here, I can take it this far. And then I really love the moment where it was kind of like, okay, so he's like dude, and then variation of dude, and then, ooh, villain. Oh, that was kind of cool.
And you know, a through line of like, you know, slightly douchey villain. But it was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah.
He can be the cool guy, but also a douche. I love it.
Yeah. And then also getting I didn't get a sense that Sean is a douche. I got a sense that he can play those characters, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
You're probably a very lovely person, Sean. Great work.
Great acting. All
and
right.
then just to clarify, this is Micah, not Solomon. So it's Micah.
Micah.
Got it.
Okay.
If you're not even willing to try, we may as well just surrender now. Walk over the money our Blondie here. This my doomsday machine complete. I'll finally be able to
Cool. So what I hope was really apparent to everybody based on how we've been critiquing the demos so far is how, compared to Sean's, we were missing a lot, right?
Yeah.
Performance-wise, we were missing that scene work and that depth and that specificity. And we were missing, from a production standpoint, we were missing just that level of finesse that is the expectation, right? And this goes back to what we were saying from the beginning, where, like, yes, different people are going to hear different things in your performances and whatever, but there are some baseline standards that show that you are invested, that you know what you're going for, and that you are here to be competitive.
Yeah.
And to that standard, we were missing that standard.
And because I think for me, it became really clear on the villain thing. And Micah, I would label this as an animation demo. I think for especially the villain, I think for you and for some of the other characters we heard as well, I feel like it didn't go far enough. Like, it felt like safe choices that were like you were touching on the idea, but it didn't go far enough. And that's what's really going to make you stand out and make these cool voices that you have, because you have a cool print. Like, your vocal print's cool, and totally like appropriate for. I liked a lot of your vocal choices, but by making those more specific and more over the top acting choices are going to take these vocal prints to that next level where it's like, yes, I cannot turn it away. This is undeniable.
Exactly. And in the context of these animation and video game demos, it really becomes super clear how important acting is. And, you know, yes, it's when you call it voiceover, it's better to call it voice acting. Because at the end of the day, like, it really is about your acting. Like, even in a commercial setting, like, all of that stuff, like, it all comes from your acting. And so this is where that type of investment in that type of training and getting an understanding of, like, what Brittany was talking about, of how far can I go? Like, what can I bring out? How specific am I being? Where is this world? What am I building? What am I doing?
How far away is the person that I'm talking to? What are the stakes?
All of these choices that you would have to make in the realm of acting have to be made in your character work in the context of a video game or an animated television show or movie.
Yeah, a couple of other things that struck me. I think one other thing you can consider in creating an animation demo or a video game demo is status. There was like a similarity of status that I heard of, like, sort of like sort of people, and even I wasn't even clear if it was a villain, but it was also sort of like so figuring out, is this person in control? Is this person is subservient? Like, that is something you can play with. And then there was something else that just came through along that, and I've forgotten. So let's move on.
It'll come back later.
Another thought on that, but let's move on.
Storm. Ooh.
This boy is not your past.
Oh, servant. Everything in good time.
Down every agony, every violation.
Enemies. I know my role in the universe.
The safe house.
Look, I've added a complex artistry of my craft in it.
Okay, so what's really interesting about this is, we've been splitting these out kind of into two. Each demo you can kind of think about from a performance standpoint and a production standpoint. For me, I mean, the demo is 25 seconds over the 60-second mark.
And I felt like there was some overlap with voices, so there are places to chop.
Yeah, there's places to chop. Again, because we're listening in this linear fashion, we don't want something we've already heard to come back again and again. From a production standpoint, what was really interesting is I felt like it was overproduced.
In a few places,
in
yeah.
In the majority of the demo, meaning that I felt like her voice wasn't.
I couldn't hear what she was doing. I just could hear the effects that were put on the voice. And it was kind of, or at least for me, some of the stuff was overpowering the performance. So I was paying attention more to the production than I was to her.
Right. And then from a performance standpoint, once I was able to listen through some of that stuff, a lot of the performances lived in a very similar energy, in a very similar place. And I was missing, again, that scene work, even though I really liked the vocal print.
So voice all the villains, like, oh my gosh.
I was just missing, like I wanted more.
I think there's some more range to play in there instead of having these, because I agree. I feel like a lot of the characters lived kind of like what Tish was talking about, in a similar status place. I think if you include some different characters that live in different statuses or different vibes, I think that'll really showcase the range, because there's some good stuff in there.
All that being said, though, I did think that this absolutely it felt like a video game demo. Yeah. So great job with your branding in that respect. Like I didn't feel like I was confused about what I was listening to. So yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of that, I remember what I wanted to say previously, and it applies here too. Particularly in video games, we're getting more and more opportunities to be casting and thinking through opportunities and understanding how things get cast on the other side. Really having the versatility, like to be able to show, like, oh, I could hire her for this, and she could cover that, and she could cover that, and she could cover that. Okay, got it. Right, that's something else we want to be able to hear and feel. And then this is something else that occurred in listening to these last two. I think if you listen to a bunch of animation demos, there's going to be like probably a princess, probably a villain, maybe a creature, sort of a youthful, like, yeah, man, we're going to do it, and maybe a nerd. Like, so there's these archetype things. So if we all need to kind of touch on those bases, then how do we make ours really specific? So like that's just an interesting thought there. Yeah, and then for Storm specifically, undeniable voice print, and how can you just keep on honing in?
100%.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, bring us home.
Hey, you look like an upstanding gentleman. You'll need an IQ.
Oh, Tuku, look!
Got ourselves a game. Pass me the whiskey. Oh, looks like a timeout's been watching changing yours to a front row.
So this is an example. So this is one of those things where we have to make sure that we're really clear about the demo and about the work itself. In the context of a demo, of creating a meaningful demo that is a tool and an effective specific thing that is helping casting, there's a lot of dead space in this demo that's not helpful. So in that regard, there can be some significant edits made in order to make this really specific and really hone in on the variety and vocal performances, because I just felt like I didn't know what I was listening to. I would click and I would just hear noise, or I would click and I would, it didn't feel like a demo about Tom. It felt like this kind of almost like a radio play, like, and I was moving from like a radio play to a different radio play to a different radio play kind of thing. So in the context, like taking those things out of the context of a demo, cool. Like there might be some cool variety in there and some moments of playing with, depth and distance and, these different vocal prints and energies and all that kind of stuff. But when you put that just copy and paste into the context of a demo, it doesn't work as well because we get a lot of dead space. It gets confusing. And we're not sure like if that's you talking or if you're talking with somebody else. Like it becomes this very kind of unfocused thing. And so for me, that's what I would want to relook at so that I could actually hear Tom, is to make it more focused in that way.
I think I totally agree. And I think Tom, you did a really good job of, I hear a lot of different cool characters that I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that. Okay. And it makes me feel like I have a good idea of the types of characters you play and the things that you do. One thing I like to, when people are talking about either video game or animation demos, the purpose for this, for casting, is 90% of the jobs you get for animation or video game, you're going to get off of an audition, off of a audition that they send you, you submit it, and it's very specific. The purpose of these demos is to show them, here's how many different characters you can book me for. Like if you bring me into the room and suddenly the character you booked me for that had an American accent, suddenly they're British. If you go to my demo, you can hear a British thing. Cool. I can still have you come in and do the thing, no problem. Mm-hmm. Or like what Tish was saying, it's very feasible, unless you're a main character, that you're going to be brought in for multiple characters. So they want to make sure that you have the range to believably do multiple characters. Mm-hmm. So that's the purpose of these types of demos. So you really want to show off in a succinct way how many different types of characters you can do.
That just happened to me. I got my agent pitched me for a scratch for a feature for a major production company. Got a call at 11, got the sides. It was a Russian character. And then in the course of the session, they're like, can you do British too? I'm like, of course I can. But it was very much that like, all right, cool. And do it this way and do it well. And do it
all the time. All the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of those types of things.
Yeah, and then Tom, again, lot of potential. It just seemed a little superficial. Like again, that note of how do you get beyond the surface, right?
Get really into that scene work. Well,
we have 81 questions.
Oh,
or
81
that's in the chat. That's in the chat. Here, you can.
Oh, okay. Gosh, yeah. Gosh, and hopefully we made it clear that this was a 2-hour thing. I'm not sure if that was.
And so, and I want to make sure that so everybody gets as much out of this as possible. We are all available after this. So if you want more in-depth detail about your demo, since we weren't able to like really dig into everybody's, we're available. So and we'll put up all of our contact info and all that stuff so that you can reach out to us and get on our calendars. But if you want more in-depth info, please reach out to us and we're happy to do that. Because I know this moves really fast and we don't have the opportunity to really dig into each one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jeffrey has put how to contact everybody here. We'll be sending out a link to the replay as well. And yeah, wherever you are in your journey, we're all here to help you get everything up to where you want to be. So this is great. Let's see. Did we want to? We left this suspense of David's demo. Do we want to listen through, and you could talk about maybe a little bit about what your process is or something like that? Is that helpful? Or do we?
I mean, I'd rather, because I feel I saw that there are some questions up there. I think I would rather answer people's questions if that's okay. Because I mean,
yeah, that's totally fine.
With our contact stuff, you guys, our website is up there as well, so you can hear all of the demos that we do and kind of our process.
Or a sample of them. You're not going to hear all of them.
Oh my
Jeez. God! You're not going to hear 500 demos up there.
A sample of them, so you can kind of get a feel for how our stuff sounds and maybe hear the difference from some of the stuff that we heard today. So yeah, I think that's good.
All right. And Jeffrey, have you been keeping track of questions? Do we want people to add them to the chat now so we have the questions all together? How will we most effectively do this?
Well, I've been gathering them as they've come in, and I put the 3 that we had so far in the chat. And then, yes, if everybody would like to submit their questions, now is a really good time for that.
Okay. So where do the 3 that you've added start? Is it here with Galen? Is that?
Let's see, just above. Yep, Jonathan Appel in that big kind of chunk right above that.
Excellent. Oh, there we go. Jonathan asked, should I create several reels? Yeah, I think we talked about that quite a bit today. Is again, it all comes back to who are you serving? And I feel like that's one of the big takeaways. If there was, if you could synthesize a lot of the stuff down into something really simple and actionable, is asking yourself, like, who am I serving? Who is this demo for? In a very kind of twist of fate way, your demo is not really for you. It is for casting directors and agents to represent you in a broader marketplace and or to communicate what you are about and what type of work you want to be getting. And that's really what your demo is. It's a tool for introducing people to where you are and where you're going in your career and what type of work you want to be considered for. Because again, most of these people are going to be perfect strangers to you, like they're as you grow and meet more of the community and continue this career, obviously that list gets smaller and smaller of people you don't know. But it's a great assumption in starting out to just be like, how do I communicate what I do to a perfect stranger? And what type of work is that perfect stranger doing? Are they, you're not going to submit your animation demo to a commercial casting, production place because they're going to be like, I don't know how to do that. Right. And so to answer your question, yes, like being as specific as possible. If you want to go after, because I remember Jonathan's stuff, he had a lot of like radio imaging and things like that. Put together your radio imaging, stuff and just make that its own succinct thing. And then that way you've got something clean and clear to send to those production houses that are casting for that type of work. Rinse and repeat for commercial VO, rinse and repeat for promo. Yep. And et cetera, et cetera.
But you don't have to do it all at the same time.
No.
You do one at a time. And then maybe, like for instance, a commercial demo, as we said, serves a lot of purposes. And you can book stuff off of your commercial demo. We do it all the time because we have a sense of you and someone goes, oh, she could totally do this. But maybe something that takes a little bit more to master all of the finesse of it. Like if your heart is totally in animation, then take the time to make a super competitive animation demo that's going to get you in the doors and in the game at the level that you want to be playing it, right? And maybe make a sample, maybe make a sample so that when it comes up, when the opportunity comes up, right? So have something. Yes, but and then prepare, or perhaps in promo where again, you may have a voice print that goes like boom, promo, right? That's what you should be doing. It also takes a lot of understanding layers of finesse and nuance to really get to a competitive place. Maybe not put your promo demo together until you're working at that level of finesse. And keep on building and expanding.
Yeah. And I mean, it was very clear from Jonathan's stuff that he's been in the industry for a while and he's been working. So, obviously that is fit for him. But if you're brand new and you're looking to start something, or you've been working in VO in one capacity and you're wanting to transition in a new capacity, then what Tish was saying is absolutely correct. This is not a scenario where you have to have all your ducks in a row
just to get started
before you launch out there. Like pick what you're interested in and let that curiosity carry you as far down that road as possible. Because only by committing to that one thing, let's just use commercial as an example, getting your skills up to where you feel really confident that you're ready to make your commercial demo, then making your commercial demo, and then letting that carry you down that road and seeing where it leads. Because once you start working, things are always going to change and present themselves in ways that you can't possibly plan for or anticipate. And your commercial demo could open doors for you, like Tish was saying, in the promo world or in the animation world or whatever. But just follow your curiosity, pick one if you're starting out, and just focus there. Don't worry about creating this massive portfolio of work. But in the case of somebody who's already been working that has that body of work to pull from, then separating it out and creating separate reels to present the information in a more succinct and helpful way.
Great idea.
Awesome stuff.
And that's a good segue into Michael's questions. Are there any types of spots that should be on a commercial demo? That is totally dependent on your branding. There's no commercial demo is a formula. Yes, there are different things that you could include that might be good to have, but it totally depends on your goals and your branding. And so that's something you should talk to your demo producer and your coaches and your agents about. And not something that's like generic one size fits all, because a demo should be very specific to you.
And to be even more succinct with that, like in terms of mindset wise, Michael presented his question as, are there certain types of spots that should be on a commercial demo? Examples being automobile, restaurants, hospitals. In our opinion, and in the workshops that we take and in chatting with these big agents and stuff here in LA, that's not the most helpful mindset to bring into the demo process, because nobody gives a shit if you have a car on there versus a hospital versus a whatever. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is communicating your personality. And if you're a fast talking, energetic, like super funny person,
well, not funny,
then like certain automobile companies who promote their products and services that way would be a great fit for you. And it really becomes about matching your energy to the clients that are out there in the marketplace. So shifting that mindset away from, I'm going to have a hospital and a restaurant and a catering thing and a whatever, and thinking of it more about like, what are the energies? What do I do?
And what matches?
And what am I bringing to the table? And then looking at what is simpatico with that. Like maybe it is automobile stuff or hospital stuff, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else.
And in terms of how we approach this is where a nice way to articulate why we love working with Brittany and Ryan, and how we've integrated them, working with them into the curriculum. Because at the dojo, what we do is like, let's get a really clear sense of who you are, what you're bringing to the party. And what I care about is what resonates with you, right? The foundational principle of the dojo is voiceover is communication. Communication is an exchange of vibrational energy. So there may be a difference of vibrational energy of, yeah, it's hard liquor, but is it bourbon or is it tequila? I love bourbon. I don't like tequila. It's something that, yeah, in general, it would be do that, but I don't really drink that much. I don't care that much. I was just saying something specifically. But what resonates for you? You're making this portrait of yourself. Why not have something that really is like, yeah. And, or if you have a voice that would serve being the voice of washing machines, but you hate doing laundry, don't do that. Because what we're going to get is, I hate doing laundry, right? So I think your demo, I think, is first you-centric, and then how does it serve who you want to be working with?
Right. And it becomes this, and that's why it's important, in terms of how Brittany and I's process works, is we start there, and then we take a real honest look at what the marketplace has and what's available, to just continue with the bourbon tequila thing. Like, you might really like bourbon and not like tequila. However, all the bourbon trends are using British female voices, and you're a 60-year-old dude. So we're not going to go against trend and give you that alcohol that you actually drink. We're going to take that energy and match it with the vocal print that exists in the marketplace. It kind of, that's where the acting bit comes in, right? I'm going to take this feeling and this life experience, and I'm going to put it into this context that is more real world friendly. And that way your demo feels more authentic when you're
right. And that's where we blend, right?
It all comes together.
And that's where we blend. Let's see.
And then
Michael also asked, should you have separate animation? Yes, absolutely. He asked, should you have separate animation in video game demos?
Which is a character demo and interactive. So interactive is another word for video game. So you can either call it an interactive demo or a video game demo. It's the same thing. Yes. So just like what we were talking about before, animation and video games, those casting directors are listening for very different things. Having something that's kind of in the middle might not be helpful. So if you sent a video game, let's say you were sending somebody, you knew the casting director at Blizzard who does World of Warcraft, which is big world, really grounded, really cinematic. You send them your animation demo, which has happened and drives her nuts. And it's all funny and over the top and like, yeah, boo, I can do all this stuff. She doesn't, that's not helpful because she can't hear how grounded you can be, how cinematic you can be. What is your acting? She just hears these funny voices and this comedy that is not appropriate for her.
Which
her
could be
games.
amazing voices. Like
Yeah.
all of your scene work could be there.
Fantastic.
All of your vocal prints could be varietied and like super on point. Like all of that stuff could be amazing. But it's like,
it's not helpful for her.
it's the pearls before swine, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're giving, you know, in this case, like the Blizzard video game person, your beautiful pearl of an animation demo, it's like not helpful for her because, you know, it's whatever, even though the demo itself could be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And so it really becomes about matching those two things and being specific about what you want. And I would say, like, at the end of the day, that's really where this journey starts and ends. And it really, if you wanted to oversimplify it, that's how you do it, is what do you want?
And what doors am I going into? So if for those of you who are interested in animation and or video game, and you don't already, watch animation, play video games or watch gameplay and stuff that's current, like what's on Disney right now, what's on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network right now, because it's very different than Looney Tunes 20 years ago. The acting styles are very different. Video games from Super Mario, very different than, you know, Call of Duty. So start paying attention to that stuff and then listen to your demos and your samples with an ear to that. And so when you're putting together a demo, be like, okay, video games where I want to focus. Oh, this feels way too funny and over the top for a Call of Duty type game. I need to match more to this.
If that's your goal.
If that's your goal.
Yeah.
And again, that's always the first question.
And that sort of segues, to Galen's question here. Is it important to create a commercial demo before creating an animation or video game demo?
Yeah. So it depends, right? So the kind of, we have to deal with these two things. We deal with the dream world and the ideal scenario, and we deal with the facts of life. And the facts of life are that in animation and video game, the work that's going to pay you a living wage to put food on your table and do what you want to do is behind a gate. And that gate is called a happy agent. And so the way to get in touch with said happy agents and get access and opportunity is through a commercial setting. Because another kind of crummy fact of life is that as cool and sexy and fun as the high profile video games and animation jobs are, like
they don't pay as much as commercials.
1% of them pay really, really, really good, and the rest don't pay all that fantastic. And so in regards to how an agent is relating to you as a voice talent and what that relationship looks like is, hey, I want to make sure that you're super solid in this commercial setting because that's how we're both going to make our living wage. And then if you can do and have an interest in and are like your skills are there for this video game work or for this animation work or both, then right on. Then here's all the opportunities that you would want.
And I will say on top of that, with what Ryan is saying, like when I got started, I only had a commercial demo and then I booked a video game off of my commercial demo through my agent and then it snowballed. And so I was like, oh, so then I made a demo to showcase that side of what I can do. And so it's one of those, voiceover is a constantly evolving thing. And because we have so many people on the call, if you are let's say a high profile comedian or an on-camera actor who does a lot of character work and things like that, and you don't give a shit about commercial, start with your character stuff. Because you being already a name and a character type of actor, a character animation or video game demo might serve you better.
Mm-hmm. And it's really you just defining what your path is. What we encourage is, how do you lay the foundations for a sustained, successful voiceover career, that this is what you do? And the reality is that it requires that you have a diversified portfolio as a voiceover artist, right? And you understand which things make consistent money, which things are like, the nice treats that you get sometimes. And everyone's going to have a different path, right? And everyone's going to have a different place where their voice serves most like what's your low hanging fruit, right? So
yeah, exactly. And it really just becomes about defining what that is for you. And you don't have to have it all worked out in the beginning. Like the only time the web, kind of the web of conspiracy of, wow, I went to this place and that led to this and that led to this, that all comes in hindsight. In the actual doing of the task, I'm like interested in commercial stuff. I'm going to go for that. It's because I want an agent and I want to see what I can do there. You do that for a few years and you make your commercial demo and blah, 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 blah. And then what happened, like exactly what happened with Brittany is her demo was submitted for a video game. They heard how connected and how like great her commercial energy was, just her as a human. So they were like, let's bring her in for this video game audition. She got that. And then that kind of whatever. And then so only in hindsight can you look back and be like, look, that dot went here and that dot went there. But it all started with, like, I'm
going to start here.
I'm just going to do it.
Exactly. Well, we're at 12 o'clock. So I think with that, I'm going to start here. We might just finish, like wrap up for everybody here. There's a couple more questions. So why don't we do a wrap up? Brittany and Ryan, if you have a couple more minutes, we can just like, we'll close the door after these questions, but I do want to honor that we agreed to be here till 12. So want to wrap up. Jeffrey, can you put in how to contact everybody and get the next consultations? This is the beginning of the conversation, guys. We're so excited to have everyone here and so many of everyone here. So hopefully this has been valuable. It's the stuff you have to figure out and continue to refine and define and activate and reactivate no matter where you're at on your journey, your voiceover journey. So everything that we've talked about here, Brittany and Ryan's contacts, email and signing up, website, email and consultation is here. So yeah, and then also the link to the gauntlet overview that we shared.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if anybody has any additional questions,
there's no question too small. And as part of this, we offer a free, like no obligation 15-minute phone call consultation. And you can sign up for that on our website. It's just nextlevelvoicedemos.com. And it's also in the chat as well.
And so please get on our calendar. And I mean, for those of you who are potentially interested in getting a demo or revamping a demo and all of that stuff, we're happy to chat with you guys about that as well. A little short, like tiny thing about our process is we write all original scripts for you, no matter what the genre is. We do a 2-hour recording session with full direction. And then, we have a 10-day turnaround from the date of your recording session of your finished demo, no matter the genre. So we have a very fast turnaround. We always treat our demo clients as a relationship. So we love working with people and helping people get to that kind of next step in their career. So
yeah, and hopefully, today I've been seeing so many, it's been so informative and so great. And that's really what we're here to do. And that's why we love doing this, is to be able to give you just the straight information. I mean, obviously we're very straightforward in our communication because we want you to be able to have actionable information that can really take you to that next place and whatever that looks like for you. And so please, don't hesitate to reach out. We love meeting new people. We work with people internationally. We work with people all over the country. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or whatever. It'd be great.
And very much the same for the dojo. We come talk to us. We meet you where you are, and we're here to help you get to where you want to be. And the three of us work very closely together. We have a really very symbiotic relationship. So if you're not yet to the place where you'd be like, oh, I don't even know what to talk to with Brittany and Ryan, then, we can just talk to both of us, take advantage of talking to both of us. So we'll conclude this whole thing, this event. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Thank you for taking care of everyone in the background. Look forward to getting to talk with you all more. We will be sending out a replay of this if you know someone who didn't get to see it. We also have fight clubs coming up, our Working Pro workouts. Check out the website for that. We've got Damon Lockett, from creative director from Ogilvy, Chicago. Portia Scott from Coast to Coast Talent, animation director or animation. She specializes in animation here. So things are coming up, and we'd love to see you. Yeah, and then maybe we'll take 5 more minutes and get some of these the rest of these questions goes. So if you have to roll, thank you. If you want to stay for a little tiny after bit, we'll take another 5 minutes.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
We just scrolled back up to where we left off.
Let's see. So there's a couple questions that we can lump in. The first question is, how many characters should be on an animation demo? And then the second question, which we can kind of segue into, is about sending your demos out directly to casting and whatnot. So the first answer to about how many characters should be on your animation demo is it depends on your branding and what you do. In the animation world, like Brittany's been saying all day, is most of the time casting is listening for an ear of, can I hire this person to do 3 or more characters in this episode of a thing? And so, in regards to your animation demo, there really are no rules. It really becomes about what you do and what you bring to the table. Don't put anything on your demo that you can't sustain for 4 hours, and don't put anything on your demo that feels arbitrary. For example, let's say, because this comes up a lot with people who do a lot of like D&D type stuff or campaigns and things, where like, they do a particular accent for a character or something, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to make a demo and do this thing or whatever. It's not always the case, but there is a big difference between doing something for a game campaign
for a group of your friends
and doing something that like is going to slot you in and get you a $1,400 paycheck.
So make sure your accents are good.
So make sure that things are like really solid and really dialed in. All the character work needs to be there. Again, like the more specific and the more acting is there that's supporting those choices, the better. And there are no rules. You could have a 60-second animation demo with 5 characters. You could have 10 characters on there. It's really about just being helpful and showcasing
what you do really well.
What you do. And in that regard, when it comes to sending out your demos to casting, everybody is different. Is kind of the crappy answer, but it's the honest answer. And what you find out, and the more you get into the industry and the more work you start getting involved with, is really get comfortable with gray areas and
following directions
and following requests, because certain casting places will want you to submit directly to them via an online form. Other places will explicitly say, please do not send us direct submissions. We only take things from agents.
So that gets be really conscious when you're doing your research, because a lot of this is research based, following directions. If a casting or production place says, do not email us, do not contact us, do not do it. Don't, because they will not be happy about it. But if somebody says yes,
they're not going to come to your house.
No, they're not going to kill you or anything, but they're like, they will remember, and they're not going to respond or be happy about it. But if it says, yes, please reach out to us, or if let's say you're in a workshop with a casting director and they say, hey, loved your reads, please reach out to me and let me know what you're doing or send me your demos. Absolutely. That's a great way to start relationships, is taking workshops, doing things like this, like Tish with the Dojo. Is it twice a month or once a month where you do the Ask the Sensei stuff?
Oh, Ask the Sensei is once a month. The first Wednesday of the month is Ask the Sensei, ask questions. It's me, our techno sensei, Dan Leonard, and then an esteemed guest
person. And so that's a great way to kind of ask those questions directly and say, hey, how do you like to be approached? What do you like?
And fight clubs as well. Fight clubs are you're the decision makers. Yeah,
absolutely. So do your research, get into those types of rooms and ask the question. And then that way you can reach out and do the thing. Because again, it's such a gray area.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. So It's not your job to fix it or to feel like something is broken because somebody likes it this way and somebody likes it that way and blah, 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 blah. That's the beauty of this big, beautiful mess that we're all participating in. And so embrace the crazy a little bit. And it's totally okay that one person doesn't want you to reach out to them and the next one does. It's all good. And so then it looks like we have, this will be kind of our last question, which is great, is it talks about production in terms of using similar music in different clips. It says, can you use the same style of music for different clips on your demo? The answer is, well, I'm going to make an assumption, presuming that when you talk about styles of music, you're talking about like, if one spot has like rock music under it
versus a jazz
can
piece.
Another thing have another rock music in it? And the answer is, it really depends on the client's marketing. So one of the things that Brittany and I do, and one of the big things that we're bringing to the table as demo producers is real world context, because this is our day in and day out world. And because this is what we're engaging with in terms of every day, like I'm doing audio editing for these commercials, or I'm doing the music searching, or I'm like some of my music is being licensed for these things. It really is about getting clear about what that client's branding is. So again, if we're not using a pre-existing body of work and we're starting from scratch, that's a consideration. If, to go back to our bourbon and tequila thing, if I'm going to have a bourbon spot and a tequila spot on my demo, just as a hypothetical, I wouldn't necessarily do that. But let's say that we did. And let's say that the bourbon spot uses like an AC/DC kind of music, and the tequila spot uses a Led Zeppelin kind of music. What's more important is that your sonic branding is consistent and on trend. It really doesn't matter that they both use rock style of music. What matters is that your branding is on point. So I'm not going to put jazz music under my bourbon spot just because, and I'm not going to put country music or pop EDM music under my tequila spot just because.
Just to make a change.
So that's where, again, like research and getting really clear about what the branding is and what the goals are. And it all kind of folds together in this thing, especially when we're talking about creating something from scratch that needs to feel like a pre-existing body of work. It needs to feel like it's been through the laundromat of the world, and doesn't feel like this thing that we just made.
Yeah. And also just I think that's a really nice place to wrap up and tie a bow, because I think this idea of samples, everyone should do to the best of their ability samples, so you have something. And if you're going to make a demo, work with somebody who does this every day and is totally in tune to what's going on now. It may seem, it's an investment into your business, right? But it's going to be, invest in the quality with people who understand all the nuances that you may not understand yet. And they can take you and go, all right, let's get all of these nuances that we understand need to be here, work with you to bring them out, right? That if you're just doing it yourself, you don't even know what you don't know, right? So I know the crossing the threshold into the demo seems a little like sometimes, but then when you start thinking about like all the stuff you're going to book because your demo's out there at a certain level, that will allow you to book the things. It all is just part of this sustained, successful voiceover career that we're here to build and enjoy together. So, guys, this has been phenomenal on both sides. Brittany and Ryan, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your, the heart and joy that you clearly bring to everything that you do around this. Yes, and Jeffrey, thank you for supporting everyone, and thank you everyone for sticking around. I hope this is valuable. Maybe as we're going off, we'd love to hear your Dojo. What's a takeaway that you're taking away? What's one thing that you went, oh. But as you're signing off, just put that in the chat.
And Tish, thank you so much for having us as
Oh,
well.
sure.
Like, thank you for hosting this. It's always wonderful. We always have a great time.
Yeah, so great.
So cool.
Well, thank
cool,
you guys
cool.
again for everything. All of our information is in the chat. And again, it's just nextlevelvoicedemos.com. You are wonderful.
And we forgot to mention, these guys, Next Level Voice Demo has two nominations for SOVA Awards for
commercial demos.
For commercial demos. One is our nth degree, one of our Dojo members, Kelly Tager, and then one of our Fight Club members is Ellie. Is that?
Oh, I didn't know he would. Yes, I love Ellie.
Yeah, so we've got 2 nominations for Voice Actor Awards this year. So
Yeah,
see what happens.
kinda cool.
It'd be great.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna leave this open. If you want to keep your Dojo O's, look forward to talking with everyone. And thank you all. Have a great rest of the day. I'm just
bye everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
up here, and we'll keep it open for a second.